Hey there, my fellow anglers and outdoor enthusiasts. Your old buddy, the fishing expert, is back with another crucial forecast to help you land those trophy fish. This week, we're diving deep into the fishing conditions for the incredible Great Lakes region, covering the period from Monday, September 29th, 2025, all the way through to Sunday, October 5th, 2025. Friends, get ready, because this week is going to be a fascinating one on the water. We're sitting right on the edge of a significant seasonal shift, and understanding it will be the key to your success. What if I told you that despite some cooling trends, certain species are about to go into a feeding frenzy while others will test your patience? Stick around, and I'll break down exactly what's happening beneath the surface day by day and give you the actionable tips you need to fill your cooler. This week is truly special because we're transitioning from late summer patterns to the vibrant and often unpredictable dynamics of early fall fishing. The water temperatures are doing their dance, the moon is playing its part, and our finned friends are responding in kind. It's a time of year when persistence and adaptability pay off big time, and I'm here to make sure you're ahead of the game. Now let's talk tactics for the most exciting species in our Great Lakes during this particular window. I've got 4 fantastic fish in mind that are going to be making some serious moves. First up, let's talk about those magnificent salmon, both Chinook and Coho. This is their prime time, folks. They're on the move, migrating in huge numbers from the deeper lake waters towards their spawning grounds in the rivers and tributaries. Where to look for them? In late September and early October, you'll find these powerful fish staging off river mouths and nearshore areas. Think shallow water, generally less than 50 feet deep, especially around rocky humps and drop-offs where they gather before pushing upstream. As the week progresses and cooler water starts flowing into the rivers, they'll begin their journey upstream. Focus on the lower sections of rivers and larger tributaries, looking for deep holes, current breaks, and gravel beds where they'll eventually spawn. What to use? When they're staging in the lakes, trolling with flashy blue and silver, hammered purple or green and silver spoons, and stick baits that imitate baitfish is highly effective. Think larger crankbaits too. Once they move into the rivers, casting inline spinners in bright colors like orange and red often triggers a strike, as they can be aggressive and territorial. Later in the spawn, if they're not actively biting, fishing salmon roe under a bobber or making repetitive casts over deep pockets can agitate them into striking. Focus on morning and evening hours for the best activity. Next, let's shift our focus to the elusive and delicious walleye. The cooling waters are signaling to them that it's time to feed aggressively. Where to look for them? Walleye will be transitioning from deeper summer haunts back to shallower waters, especially in bays and nearshore areas of Lake Erie and Lake St. Clair. They're known for their night hunting skills, so consider evening and night fishing. Look for them over gravel and sandy bottoms, particularly near drop-offs and structural elements like reefs and ledges. What to use? Trolling crankbaits, especially at night, is a classic walleye tactic in the fall. Brightly colored stick baits or jigs tipped with live minnows or soft plastics can also be deadly. For shore anglers, casting crankbaits or suspending minnows under a float in the shallows can produce excellent results as they target baitfish schools that also move closer to shore. Then we have the ever-popular Keith's yellow perch. Fall is often considered the best time for perch fishing, and you can expect some larger specimens this week. Where to look for them? Perch will be moving closer to shore as the water cools. Look for them in bays, harbors, and along weed lines in water from 10 to 30 feet deep. They often school up in large numbers, so if you find one, you'll likely find many. Pay attention to changes in bottom structure, like transitions from mud to gravel. What to use? A simple perch spreader rig baited with live minnows is incredibly effective. Small jigs tipped with pieces of worm, wax worms, or soft plastics are also great choices. Light tackle is key for detecting their subtle bites. Anchoring over a school is a common and successful tactic. Finally, don't forget the feisty smallmouth bass. As water temperatures drop, these bronzebacks get even more aggressive. Where to look for them? Smallmouth will be found in cooler, nearshore waters, particularly on Lake St. Clair and other shallower lakes. Focus on rocky points, shoals, deep flats adjacent to structure, and around submerged timber or weed edges. They'll be actively foraging for baitfish and crawfish preparing for winter. What to use? Jigs, especially football head. Jigs with creature baits work well when slowly dragged along the bottom. Crankbaits that mimic baitfish, spinnerbaits, and soft plastic tubes or senkos can also be very productive. Look for clear water and target areas with access to deeper water nearby, as they'll move in and out with feeding opportunities. All right, my friends, let's dive into the nitty-gritty and analyze the conditions that will shape our fishing fortunes this week in the Great Lakes region. Weather overview. The general forecast for much of the U.S. suggests warmer than usual conditions persisting into early October. However, here in our specific Great Lakes region, particularly the lower lakes, think Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, New York, we're expecting a slightly cooler trend than average for this time of year, with less than standard rainfall. We're looking at average temperatures around 62 degrees Fahrenheit for September, dipping to about 51 degrees Fahrenheit in October, which is about 2 degrees below average. Precipitation for this period looks to be below normal, with about 2.5 inches in September and 2 inches in October, a ½ inch to 1 inch below average, respectively. Wind details aren't super specific day by day, but general fall forecasts mention periods of dry, windy conditions which can certainly stir things up. Remember, stable conditions are generally good, while sharp changes in pressure or strong winds can make fish sluggish and harder to find. Water temperature. This is a crucial factor, especially during this transitional time. In late September, Great Lakes surface water temperatures can still range quite a bit, from the low 60s in places like Duluth to the low 70s in areas like Cleveland. As we move into October, these temperatures will continue to drop, reaching the low 50s and even high 40s in some northern areas. This cooling trend is the primary trigger for many fish species, particularly the salmonids, to begin their inshore and upstream migrations. Cooler water means higher oxygen levels, and it often kickstarts aggressive feeding behaviors as fish try to build up fat reserves for the winter. However, too rapid a drop, especially with cold fronts, can sometimes make them lockjaw. Moon phase. Let's talk about the moon, our celestial fishing guide. Our forecast period starts with the moon in its first quarter. Phase on Monday, September 29th, being about 45% illuminated. By Wednesday, October 1st, we'll be firmly into a waxing gibbous phase, increasing to about 65% illumination. This waxing gibbous phase will continue, growing brighter, leading up to the Tsad full moon. The harvest moon, which arrives just after our forecast period ends, on Monday, October 6th. Many anglers, including myself, believe that the period leading up to and including the full moon can be excellent for fishing. The increased moonlight provides better visibility for nocturnal feeders like walleye, potentially leading to more active feeding windows. The stronger gravitational pull can also influence tides and currents, which some believe stirs up baitfish and makes game fish more active. So, this week, with a building moon, we've got some good lunar energy working in our favor. General fish activity. As I mentioned, late September and early October in the Great Lakes is a period of high activity for many species. The major event is the Salmon Run, with Chinook and Coho making their annual pilgrimage to spawn. You'll find these fish congregating and moving upstream, driven by instinct and cooling water. Steelhead are also starting to show up near shore and will begin entering tributaries later in October. Lake trout will be moving closer to shore for their own spawning activities. Walleye and smallmouth bass are returning to shallower, cooler waters, often exhibiting aggressive feeding patterns as they prepare for winter. And for those who love eating their catch, yellow perch. Fishing is hitting its stride with bigger fish available near shore This is a fantastic time of year because many species are actively feeding and moving, offering diverse opportunities. Now for the daily breakdown, my friends, let's see what each day has in store for us. Monday, September 29th. Today we're looking at a first quarter moon and relatively quiet weather for the central and eastern US. In our Great Lakes region, specifically the lower lakes, expect some scattered showers in the east and sunny conditions in the west with cooler temperatures. The salmon will be actively staging and the cooling water will have perch and bass beginning to move closer to shore. Overall, I'd rate the clue as good. Focus on those river mouths and nearshore areas with spoons for salmon or jigs for perch and bass. Tuesday, September 30th. The moon is waxing crescent, gaining illumination. Weather-wise, the focus is more on the southeast and northwest, suggesting stable conditions for our region. Temperatures should remain cool. Fish will be adjusting to the continued drop in water temperature. I'm predicting a good to excellent clue, especially for salmon still staging and walleye becoming more active in the evenings. The consistent conditions should keep fish biting. Wednesday, October 1st. We transition into a waxing gibbous moon. Today, which traditionally brings good fishing potential, weather is expected to have minimal activity overall. For the lower lakes, this is the start of a period with scattered showers and fluctuating temperatures, going from warm to cooler. The salmon run should be in full swing, with more fish pushing into river systems. Excellent audio. Clue for salmon and walleye, particularly in areas with good current. Smallmouth bass will be very active on rocky structures. Thursday, October 2nd. The waxing gibbous moon continues to grow brighter, enhancing nighttime feeding opportunities. Minimal weather activity is predicted, with scattered showers and cooler temperatures in the lower lakes region. This slight cooling trend might make fish slightly more cautious if it's too abrupt, but the consistent moon phase should still keep them active. I'd lean towards a good clue. Today, focus on deep holes for salmon in rivers and active jigging for walleye and bass. Friday, October 3rd. Another day with a strong, waxing gibbous moon. Weather remains with minimal activity overall and scattered showers and cooler temperatures in the lower lakes. The approaching weekend means more angler pressure, but the fish should still be in feeding mode. The cooling water will keep walleye and perch focused on shallower baitfish. I'm calling it a good clue. Try targeting perch and walleye in bays and nearshore flats. Saturday, October 4th. The waxing gibbous moon is almost at its peak, just before the full moon. For the lower lakes, expect continued scattered showers and cooler temperatures. This could be a fantastic day for those dedicated anglers. Salmon will be pushing hard upstream, and the increased moonlight from the strong waxing gibbous phase should really activate night feeders like walleye. I'm expecting an excellent clue for salmon in the rivers and walleye in the evening. Sunday, October 5th. Our last day in the forecast period with the waxing gibbous moon. Now very close to full. The lower lakes region will continue with scattered showers and cooler conditions. This could be another prime day, especially if conditions stabilize slightly after any showers. The fish will be in a strong pre-spawn, pre-winter feeding pattern. I'd say the clue will be excellent. Capitalize on the strong moon phase and active fish before the full moon arrives. Well, my friends, that wraps up our Great Lakes fishing forecast for this exciting week. I hope these insights give you the edge you need to make some incredible memories on the water. Remember, fishing is all about adapting, learning, and enjoying every moment. So get out there, embrace the challenges, and may your lines be tight. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this forecast helpful. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future reports and ring that notification bell. And now, for my favorite part, I want to hear from you. What are your go-to fall baits in the Great Lakes? Did you have any incredible catches on last week's moon phase? Share your plans for this weekend's fishing adventures in the comments below. Until next time, Tight lines, everyone. And as we always say, neither tail nor scale.